all. I hope everyone is doing fine. So, welcome again to InfosecTrain. And this is our second day for cybersecurity essentials. And on day two, we will be discussing about the basics of Linux. Right. So now, first we will discuss that what is Linux. Right. Now, the agenda for the webinar for today is installing VMware, the history and the architecture of Linux, basic commands in Linux, how to use redirection and pipes, how to do managing of the files, and how to use network troubleshooting commands. Right? So if you have any problems in the troubleshooting, if you have any problems in the network, then what commands you should use and what will be the syntax of those, we will be discussing about that as well. Right? How to do the file management, how to create files, how to change the files, how to change the attributes. We will be talking about that as well. Right? Okay. So let's start, guys. First thing, Unix operating system. Right? So what is Unix, guys? Unix is an operating system that is truly the base of all operating systems. Right? So all the operating systems like we know about Linux, Kali Linux, Ferret, Sec, and your Ubuntu, Solaris, POSIX, all these things, the basis of all these things are Unix, right? So Unix is the operating system that is the base of every operating, right? Now it was developed in 1970 by Ken Thompson, Dennis Ritchie, the person who created C as well, and others in AT&T laboratories. So AT&T laboratories are in US, so there it was created. Now it only has command line interface. It does not have your GUI, right? So it does not have the graphical interface. It only have command line interface. So you have to access it using the commands only, right? Miss Woman, Kali Linux is a distribution of Linux, a type of Linux, right? Linux is an operating system. We have different distributions for that. Like we have Kali Linux, we have Parrot, right? So these are your distribution of Linux. Like we have Red Hat, and we also have Arch Linux, right? So these are different distributions of Linux. We in India we do have Garuda Linux, right? So the base, these are the different distributions of Linux. They have different graphical user, right? So this is about Unix. Now, what is the difference between Unix and Linux? So the source code of Linux is freely available to its all of the users, and the source code of Unix is not freely available to the general public, right? Now, what is the meaning of source code is freely available? That means if you want to change something, if you want to modify that particular operating system by your need, whatever you need. So if you want to change the colors, or if you want to change the GUI, if you know the coding, so you can change that as well according to your needs, right? Now, second point says it has graphical user interface along with command line interface. It only has command line interface. So your Linux has graphical user interface. So as you can see, this is your Kali Linux and this has your graphical user interface. So I can use this Linux like Windows as well, right? So we have this Linux. This is your Kali Linux. These are the tabs that we have for folder. This is terminal, right? And we will be having these icons as well. So we have these icons, right? So this is what this is your Linux, right? When we were using Unix, so Unix had command line interface only. So it was not showing any graphical data like this. It only had something which looks like this only. So you just have to write the commands over here, anything, right? If you know the commands, right? Now, next thing that we have is Linux operating system is portable, flexible, and it can be executed in different hard drives, right? And Unix OS was not portable, right? So even in different hard drives, there are some types of hard drives that you cannot execute this particular Unix operating system. Now, Linux operating system you can execute, right? Now, next thing that we have is guys, different versions of Linux OS are Ubuntu Linux, Linux Mint, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, so that's right. Now, back in the old days when we were using Unix, so Unix has AIX, HPUX, BSD, IRS. These are the types of versions of Unix, right? Now, the file systems that are supported by Linux are XFS, are RAMFS, VFAT, GramFSM, X, ext3, ext4, ext2, ext1, UFS, AutoFS, DevPTS, and NTFS. So these are the types of operate your file systems. In our Windows, we use NTFS, and in pen drives as well. So we have in pen drives we have FAT, right? So if you guys have heard about FAT32, we have that as well, NTFS as well, right? So in fact, there was a thing that more than if your file is of more than 4 GBs, you cannot transfer that file directly to your pen drive. Even if your pen drive has space of 16 GBs, you cannot keep a file more than the size of 4 GBs. And in NTFS, there is no limit, right? So this is the talk about Windows and your USB drives, your pen drives that we use. Now in Unix we had ZFS, JS, HFX, GPS, XFS, VXFS. These are the types of file systems that Unix was supporting. So these are pretty much old. I think you guys haven't heard the name as well uh, of these types of file systems. So this is the difference between Linux and Unix. Now, if I talk about the architecture of the Linux, so I want everyone to go through this architecture and see what is in there. So what things that we have is the first thing, these are the users and their applications, the different applications you use, and these are the commands like grep, cd, vi. These are some commands, right? Inside that, as you can see, there is shell. Now, what is shell, guys? Shell is the utility that processes your request, right? So when you type command in your terminal, so the shell does what? Shell interprets the command and calls the program that you want, right? So there are different types of shells. We will be discussing about those as well, like C shell, Bourne shell, Corn shell, Bash shell. right? We will be discussing about that as well. Now, next thing that we have is kernel. So I can say that kernel is what? Kernel is the heart of the operating system, right? So what it does, it interacts with the hardware, and most of the tasks like memory management, task scheduling, and file management is done by kernel, right? So that is the work of the kernel. So kernel is working as the interface between your shell and the hardware. So if I want to access something, some hardware, like I want to access the hard disk. So what I'll do, I'll write the command in the shell. So in shell, I'll be writing the command, and then what will be happening? Your kernel will be interpreting it, right? Kernel will be checking that what hardware we are asking for, and then it will be interacting with that hardware, and it will be giving you that hardware, right? So the kernel is the interface between both of these, right? So that is your kernel. Clear, everyone? So these are the three things. Now what we have is, like as you can see guys, there are various commands and utilities over here: grep, cd, bi, right? So these are called command and utilities, right? So there are many commands, many utilities which you can use in your day-to-day activities if you want to use the Linux only, and we will be discussing about these commands today as well, right? Now we also have files, we also have directories, right? So all of the data we have in Linux is it is organized in your files, and the files are then organized in your directories. Now in here, directories are what? Like we have folders in our Windows folder, right? So same like that, directories are here, so we call them directories, right? So there is a file system. Inside that file system, you have different directories, and in different directories, you have different files which you have created, and you can save those files in them, right? Okay. Now, next thing, shell. Now, what types of shells are there, guys? So, first, what we had Bourne shell, right? So, Bourne shell was what? First, I'll tell you the prompt that was there for Bourne shell. So, if you can see, this is a dollar sign, right? So, this dollar sign is showing that you are the root user. So, when we were using Bourne shell did what? For being the root user. This was the prompt, right? So what is the root user, guys? If we talk about root user, so root user means that you are the administrator. You can do anything, you can make all the changes in the device as well, right? So if you want to change anything, you have all the privileges, you will be able to change everything if you want, right? Now next we have is born again shell. We'll come back to it. Then let's first discuss about C shell. Right? Now, C shell does what? If you are using the C shell, so it will be doing what? It will be showing you the prompt in this format, your percentage sign. Right? So C shell have the syntax of C language. So what we have? We have a C programming language. So it has a syntax of that, right? Now if it has a syntax of that C shell, so it was not that much famous because The syntax of C language is pretty much old and it is very lengthy syntax. Also, it was very confusing what to write. So that's why it was not that much famous. Now then we move to the corn shell, right? The K shell, KSH corn shell. Now corn shell as well. Corn shell, when we were using corn shell, so corn shell has a hash as a prompt, right? So from those days, your hash started being a prompt for the root users, right? So if you are wondering that what is a prompt, guys, that I have used this word 3 or 4 times, as you can see, there is a dollar sign over here. So this is called prompt. So if I want to be the root user, so I have to write a command that is called sudo su, and I have to enter my password, right? And after entering my password, as you can see, the prompt has changed, right? So it says root kali, that means your hash is what? Your hash is you are the root user. But that does not mean you are using corn shell, because there were problems with corn shell. That means in corn shell you cannot check the previous commands, you cannot use the previous commands directly, you have to write them again, you cannot go through the history, right? So that was the problem with the corn shell. So that's why the basic and the easiest one was Bourne shell. So we modified the things in Bourne shell and we made Bourne again shell. That is also called bash. So right, before, like in 2019 and 20, we used Bourne again shell. But if you will download the Linux right now, it will be giving you Z shell, right? So Bourne shell added what? Bourne shell has also a prompt of hash, but it does what? It gives you many build facilities, right? Like you can use the previous commands, you can have the color for different files, like that, right? So that was your born again shell. Now after that, we move to the Z shell, and in Z shell we have different scripts for everything, and we have more color codes, right? So that is your Z shell, right? Now we have these types of shells in your Linux. Clear, everyone? Yeah, there was a bug in the shell shop, right? So Z shell also has a prompt of this. Now, if you guys know, there was, we write a command that says sudo su, right? For starting, what we write, the first thing that we write sudo su, it stands for super user do switch user. Now, if you guys know, if you guys read the news every day, so there were vulnerabilities in this. So this sudo command had vulnerabilities. Now they are patched, but before there were vulnerabilities 4 5 months back. There were vulnerabilities, and those vulnerabilities were exploited by the attackers, right? So these are some shell options. Now we use, if you are using old Kali, that is from your 2020, so that will be bash, otherwise it will be Z shell, right? Next time. Now what we have is, guys, we will be discussing about the commands. So what basic commands that we have cd for changing the working directory, pwd for present working directory, a line of text if you want to display, that is echo. Then if you want to exit a shell, you will write exit. For calendar, you will write cal. And for locate, you will like you, if you want to locate a file, you will write locate. And if you want to change the user password, you will write PSSWD, right? Now links between files, if you want to create links between files, if you want to create a shortcut of a file, you will use it, right? So before that, what we have is this environment. Now this environment is your virtualized environment, right? Now in this environment, what do we have? I have this Kali Linux installed, right? So now in this environment, how you can install it? You can just directly go to the VMware website, right? And you can download the VMware from there, right? After installing the VMware, there are just some steps like how you install any software. It is only a software that you will install. So it is like installing a very basic software. Now after that, what you will do, you will go to the website of Kali, right? Kali Linux, kali.org, and there you will download the file for virtual environment, right? So there what you will do, you guys will download the file for virtual environment, and that file be downloaded, and that file will be your compressed file. So you have to uncompress it, you have to unzip that file, and then after unzipping that file, there will be an file inside that again with an extension .vmx, right? Now that VMX file will be there with the extension of .vmx. You guys will double click on it, and it will be opened in your VMware directly. So your Kali Linux will be open, right? So that's how you install VMware and start the Kali Linux, start working with it. Now, Mr. Rajat, VirtualBox is also a thing, right? VirtualBox is also an environment, same like VMware, but what about VirtualBox is, VirtualBox has some network adapter problems, right? And it also has your virtualization problems. So that's why I prefer VMware over VirtualBox. You can use it, it will work fine, but sometimes what happens, there are compatibility problems and there are network adapter problems, so it does not catches the network. So that's why we use what? We use VMware, right? If you want, you can go for VirtualBox as well, as it is free and open source, and VMware is paid and it needs license keys, right? Yes, Mr. Praveen, it is a hypervisor, same as your VMware. Type 2 hypervisor, it is, right? Okay. Mr. Balasai Akula, just give me a minute. I'll let you know that how to install that. Now, when you will be downloading a file from the Kali, there will be a file that will be zipped file, right? So you have to unzip it, and when you will unzip it, there will be a lot of files like these, right? Now, if you will go for the files, so you will see that there is a file, this file, VMware virtual machine configuration file. So if I'll right click on it, go to properties. So as you can see, the extension is .vmx, if you can see, right? So this .vmx configuration file, you just have to unzip that folder that you will download, and you will be double clicking on it, and it will be opened in your VMware directory, right? So you have to do that just, right? It's not that much big thing, right? So you will be downloading a file, It will be in something like this format. So you will right click on it, you will extract that, and then you will go to that folder where it is extracted, and there you will find our VMware virtual machine configuration file. You will open that and then done. Right? Clear everyone? So you just have to double click on it and it will be open. So that is what, that is your installing of VMware, right? So what I'll do, I have this environment, you will get an environment like this only, right? And after that, you will be clicking on this sign, this icon, and this is for your terminal, right? So in terminal, you will click, you will get your Kali, right? Like in in blue letters, that means you are a normal user right now, you are not the root user. So for being the root user, guys, you have to write command sudo super user do switch user. So you are switching the user, and if you want to switch the user, that means you will write sudo su. You want to change the user. So from normal to the root user I want to be, I need the password. So I will write the password, and I am now the root user. Clear? Okay. Now we discussed about the file system, guys. Right? This is the file system. Like we have local disk C, local disk D. We have a file system in Linux as well. It has all the folders. So what I'll do, if I want to access that, first thing, your slash in your Linux. Always remember this thing. The slash we have. Slash in your Linux is your file system. Slash denotes the file system, right? So if you want to access the file system, you will access that. Now before that, I want to tell you guys a command that says cd, right? So what cd stands for? If I write it over here, cd stands for change the working directory. That means change directory. So if you want to go from one folder to another, so your cd is used, right? So how will I use it? Let's say I want to go inside my file system. So file system is denoted by slash. So what I'll do, I'll write cd slash, right? Now after writing cd slash, I'll press enter, and if you can see, I was inside slash home. Slash if I will choose. Now I am inside slash. Only slash is there. That means you are inside file system. Clear everyone? Now if you guys want to see that what files are in there, so you will use a command that says list, ls. So it will list everything that is there. So if I press enter, it showed me the names of all the folders that are there. What I did, I wrote this command, and this command gave me all the folders that are right. Now, if I want to, let's say, go inside this folder, home. So how will I do that, guys? Anyone from the team? How can I change my directory from I'm inside file system? I have to go inside home. What I'll do, I'll write cd slash home. Change directory to home. I'll press enter. So I wrote change directory slash home. So I got inside home, right? Clear? Okay. Now Mr. Alok, if you have uh, that problem, you can click on VM, this tab VM, and there will be an option install VMware tools. So after installing VMware tools, your screen will be full. You will be getting full screen. So also this thing you have to press, and full screen. For full screen, you will be installing the VMware tools. It will be working, right? Okay. Now I am inside home. I want to see what things are there inside my this directory home. What I will write. Anyone? ls, correct. So list I will write. Now again I want to go inside A5HU. So what I'll do, I'll write cd and A5HU, press enter. I'm inside this folder. Right? Clear everyone? Now what if in place of ls I wrote ls space hyphen la? What I wrote ls space hyphen la, right? Now what it did, as you can see, if you will count the number of folders over here, how many are those? 26, right? These are 26. Now if you will count these over here, let me do ls again, right? So if you will count these, right? So these are how many? These are 36, right? Now if you will count them over there, as you can see, is ls showing any zshrc, zsh3d dot zap dot x session errors dot x authority, these types of things? No, it is not showing. uh Mr. Manna, your slash is not necessary if you are going through one file, but if you are going inside one file then another file, your slash is mandatory, because slash is your file system. So it is telling that inside file system you have both, and right. So that is what, that is your thing about this. Clear everyone? Okay, great. Now what ls-la gives you? It gives you list all. So it will give you the list of all the things that are there, right? It will give you the list of all the things. Now all these files that are starting with a dot sign, dot bash underscore logout, dot bash rc, dot bash rc dot original, all these things are what? Your hidden files. So if you guys want to have to see the hidden files, you will use the option ls space hyphen la. Clear? Now next thing, the dot, a single dot in your Linux represents the file system. Right? If what your single dot represents, your current folder, right? the current directory you are in. So I am inside /home/a5hu. So this dot represents that. Now your double dot represents one directory back, right? So if I write cd space dot and dot, two dots, and press enter, I will be inside /home again, right? So that is the thing about Linux. Now next thing, what are these D? As you can see, in front of many files there is D written. What is this D? What is this R? What is this W? What is this X? Delete, read, write. Correct. Okay, so I'll get inside if I wish you can. So I'll tell you that as well, right? First let me answer Mr. Hari Prasad. So ls space hyphen h, right? So this is what these are the files we have, and these are the things that are used in there. So if the size of any file or any folder is larger than 1024 bytes, Mr. Hari Prasad, it's for you. If the size of any file or directory is larger than 1024 bytes, it will show you that in KB or MB. So what you have to write? You have to write ls space hyphen h for that, right? Clear? Now what we have is, guys, the D that is written over there, that means it is a directory, right? Now what we have is, we have RWX. So let's understand what is this RWX. Now what it is written, your we have something written like this: RWX, RWX, and RW. Now R stands for read. So you have reading permission. W means write. So you have writing permission. X means execute. So you have executable permissions as well. You can execute the files like that, right? So if you have any executable files, if you want to run any program, you have to give it the executable permissions and you will be able to do that. Now what we have is, why there are RWX written three times. That means the first combo of your RWX, it is for your user or the owner, right? So you are the owner, so your permissions will be shown here. That RWX, you have readable, writable, and executable permissions. You can read the file, you can write the file, and you can execute the file. Now the second thing that we have, this is for groups. So if we have any groups, so in there, what we will be doing, we will be giving the permissions as well for the group. So in Linux, we have different groups, like you have different users, and for those users, you have created the group. So for those group, what we have is, for those groups we have permissions as well. Now, next thing, the third one, it is, you can say, for others. Others means guests. So like in Windows, you have guest account. So if you want that your account stays safe, and if anyone from outside wants your, if any of your known person is also accessing, and you have confidential files in your main account, so you can create a guest account in Windows, so that it will give you a new environment, and they will not be able to make the changes in your machine as well, right? So they cannot make changes in your operating system, right? So these are the three things. Now, how, what is the decimal value that is given to RWs, right? So the decimal value, the R stands for 4, W stands for 2, and X stands for 1, right? So the value of R in decimal is 4, and the right is 2, and X means executable, it's 1. So if I combine them, if I add them, so that makes us 7. So even if in place of this RWX I can write 7, then second RWX I can write 7, and in the place of third RWX I can write 7, right? So this is your RWX. I will tell you how to give the permissions, how to change the permissions, right? Now, next thing, if you can see, there are some files which have L written in front of them. Now, what L is, guys? If I talk about L, what is L? Anyone? So L is what? L is your link. What type of link? A symbolic link. Now, what is symbolic link, guys? If I talk about Windows, so in Windows, do you have shortcuts, right? So if you will right click on any folder in Windows, so if I show you uh, that I have this, right? Now, in this, what if I go to some folder, right? This, and what we have is, we have this VM folder, and inside VM folder I have this new folder, right? So in that new folder there is something. So what I want that there will be a shortcut created. So what I'll do, I'll right click on it and create a shortcut. So now shortcut is created, as you can see over here. So if I will make the icons larger, so there what you will see, in shortcut there is a arrow created, right? Now, even if I put it somewhere else, even if I cut it and paste it in your another file, right? Like, let's say I want to paste it over here. So it is pasted. But what I have pasted it in the another drive. So if I will click on properties, again it will be showing me the target FVM no folder. So inside F, I have pasted it inside D, as you can see, but it is showing me where it is. It is inside F. So if you want to access the thing, if you want to access the file quickly, so you can paste this shortcut in the desktop. So so that you don't have to go inside your file system again and again. So that is your link. So link is what, as you can see, if we open the Linux and if we see the link, L is written over here, and if you can see dot face dot icon, and where it is saved, dot face, right? So these things are there, right? Clear everyone? Now, all the things that are in purple color, these are the pictures. All the things that are in blue color, these are your folders, and all the things that are in white color, these are your files. In this color, the greenish color, which we call it cyan color, so that are your executable files. So you can execute those files, right? So these are the color codes, and where the color codes are saved, I'm using the ZSH shell. So in ZSHRC, and if you are using bash, so there is also bash rc. So next command that I'll tell you is your locate, right? So if I want to locate a file, let's say I want to show you the bash rc file, right? So it will show me the path of it, right? There are lots and lots of bash rc, right? So an etc/etc/bash dot bash rc, right? This is the file. So I got the path of it where the bash file is, right? So that's how you use the command locate. If you don't know where any file is located, you forgot the place where you have saved it, so you can just use the locate command, right? Now I can write cd/etc, right? So I will be directly inside your etc. I want to see what is inside, you can write ls, right? So ls will be doing what? Ls will be giving me all the things that are there. Now bash.bash rc is there. So I can see it is in white color, right? So if there is any file and you want to see what is inside that file, you can write cat and bash.bash rc, and you will write yes. So inside it, it gave me what? It gave me all these files. So inside bash rc, we have other files as well, many files like MySQL and your MTB, Nginx, Necto. All the tools are there, the password files are there, and many RC files are there. So these RC files are your color code files, right? So what color code we will be using, right? So that is what, right? Now again, I'll go back to slash home slash 25h, right? So that is what, guys, your slash home slash a5hu, if I talk about, I got inside that. And again, if we go up and if we see the permissions, so we have these permissions, right? Now again, the basic command, that if I want to create a new file, what command I will be using? I have a command with the name touch, right? So I want to create a file with the name cybersec.txt, right? I will press enter and that file is created. I will do ls, and as you can see, cybersec.txt is created, right? Now if I want to remove this file, I will write the command rm, right? Rm and the file name, which is cybersec.txt, cybersec.txt. I will press enter, and if I do ls again, I want to see what is inside my folders. So as you can see here, it was there. I removed it, and now it is removed, right? So that is what, that is your touch command. Now, if you want to write inside a file directly, right? Now, what you will do, you will write the command nano and cybersec.txt. Now, what nano does is, nano is a command that is used to find out a file. So nano will check for a file with the name cybersec.txt. If it will be able to find that file, it will open that file. Otherwise, it will create that file and then it will open that file. Now, as you can see, cybersec.txt is here. Clear? Now, I'll write hello, how inside it, right? So I have written hello, how are you inside it. I'll press Ctrl X, Y, enter, and I have saved it. Now I have saved it. So what will happen, guys? If I want to see what is written inside that file, again, what command I will be using? I will be using cat command. Cat cybersec.txt and press enter. So it gave me the output that what is written inside that file, right? Now what is written? Hello, how are you? Right? Oh. Now if I have one more file, right? Let's say I have created file nano cybersec 2.txt, right? And what I'm writing over here, hello again. Now I'll save it, and if I do ls, there are two files, right? So what if I want to merge these files? Now if I cat cybersec2.txt, what it gave me? Hello again. Hello, how are you? Right? So what happened, guys? What I did, in first file I have written hello, how are you? And in the second file I have written hello again. Now, using the cat command and using the redirection operator. So this is called what? This is called redirection operator, right? So there are different types of redirection operators. So if you will use this redirection operator, all the content of this file will be copied to the second file as well, right? Now, what if instead of writing this, I wrote only one single arrow, right? And if I press enter and if I use cat, so it says what? Hello, how are you? It removed the hello again from your cybersec2, right? So that's why if you want to keep the contents of both the files, that when you will be using double arrows, right? So that is a redirection operator, how you will redirect your out. Clear, everyone? Okay. Now we discussed about your read, write, and executable permissions, right? If I do ls space hyphen la again, and what file we created, guys? We created a file with the name cybersec and cybersec, right? So let's see what are the privileges it has. So we'll go with the cybersec one, and cybersec has RW and dash, no executable permission. Then R hyphen hyphens means nothing is there. So for group there is only readable permission, and for others there is only readable permission. Only the owner can read and read and write. Right? Now if I want to give it a permission of executable as well. So what I'll do, I'll write chmod. Chmod stands for change moderation. And what I'll write plus x and the name of the file. So the name of the file is cybersec.txt. Right? I'll press enter if I do ls space hyphen la again. So what will happen, guys? Let's see. As you can see, the cybersec txt is changed. Now everyone has the permission of execution. Your owner has that executable permission, your group has the executable permission, your others have the executable permission. But what if I want to give the permission, read, write, and execute permission only to the owner, not to others? Right? So if I don't want to do that, what I will be doing, guys? I will be writing chmod, and now this is the place where your decimal is used. So if I write 7 means rw r stands for 4, then w stands for 2, and x stands for 1. So combining that 7. Now for group I don't want to give anything, and for others I don't want to give anything. Now what I'll write? I'll write cyber sec.txt. Right? If I'll press enter and if I do ls space hyphen la again, now you will find out what you will find out that your cybersec2.txt file use. So cybersec2.txt has read, write, and execute function. So same like that, what I'll do, I'll change it for cybersec as well. So for cybersec as well, I have changed it ls hyphen la, and in that what we have is, guys, in that we have, you can see here, only rwx permission is there, others do not have any permission. So that places those boxes are black, right? So that's how you can do what you can change the moderation of any file. So you can give the privileges for any file by yourself. Clear, everyone? Any doubts? Great. Now we discussed about CD. We discussed about other as well, locate as well, right? Now we will discuss about echo. That what is echo, guys? So echo is what? If I want to print something, so what I'll write? I'll write echo. Then inside these, I'll write hello. I'll press enter and it is same printed as it is. Right? So it is printed as it is. So that's why what it is. That is your echo. Right? Now someone is asking that what if I give the command 721? Now I have changed it for cybersec.txt guys. Right? Now what I'll do ls space hyphen la. And what we can see over here guys, we can see these. So 2 is for W. So in your second group, for groups you have given the right permissions, and for your others you have given the executive permissions, right? So that is what will happen when you will write 71. Ms. Jasmine, right? Okay. Now we discussed about the echo command, right? Now if I want do budding. So budding, if you want the example of locate command, so I can write locate and videos. So if I'll write locate videos, I wanted to locate this folder videos, so it gave me the path where videos is located, right? So that is your locate command, right? Clear everyone? Okay, great. Now next thing we have is we will discuss about echo command engine, right? Now echo command, what it does, it gave us the output, we got it, right? What else you can do with echo command? Can anyone tell me? Now, what you guys will do with the echo command, you guys can write this. Let's say I'm writing echo, right? Inside it, I'm writing cybersecurity essentials, right? What it will do, it will print it, right? What if I write echo space hyphen e, and inside it, what I'll write it something like this, like cyber space slash b security, and then slash b essentials. Now what will be happening guys in the comments? I want to know the answer what will be happening. So what hyphen e is doing over here? Hyphen e enables the interpretation of backslash escapes, and slash b is not for bold text, but it is for removing all the spaces in between the text. So as you can see, now it is one word, right? So that is what your echo command is. Now what else it can do? What if I write instead of slash b, let me remove it, and I'm writing slash c. What it will do? Can anyone tell me? So it will be removing all the things that are there after slash C. So it will be printing only the things that are before slash C. Right? So that is what, that is also a thing. Now if I use in place of slash B, I'm using slash N. Now everyone would be knowing what is slash N, right? Slash N is used for new line, right? So if you want to print anything in new line, you can print it like that as well, right? Now in place of slash N, I can also use slash T, right? Now what slash T will be doing? A space of a tab, right? So it will be pressing a tab in between. There will be a tab in between of these words. So that's why it is what it is. Your slash T is for tab, right? One tab spaces, right? Now, what if I write slash R in this place? So slash R will do what? It will return all the things that are after R, right? So carriage return with backspace interpreter, right? So this is a carriage return, right? It will return only the things that it is carrying. So R is carrying these things after it. So that's why we are using type slash R with it, right? Now, uh, okay, one interesting thing that I want to show you. What if I write slash V? So slash V, if I press enter, so slash V will create your vertical tab spaces. So as you can see, you have written cybersecurity essentials like this, right? Vertical tab spaces, right? Clear everyone? Okay. Now this is the bit about your echo command, right? Now, what else do we have? We have the cat command, right? So we discussed about cat command, and cat command is used to show that what things are there inside, written inside the file. So is there anything else you can do with the cat command, right? So let's, so I'll write this, I'll do ls. Now what if I want to see that what is inside cybersec and cybersecurity both at the same time, right? Or basic and basic pen test, right? So what I will write, I will write cat basic pen test and then cybersec2.exe. I want to see in the both things what we have. So what we got the things what are there in your first file basic pen test, and in the second file your hello how are you is written. So if you want to see something that what is written inside multiple files, that can be done as well, right? Now, what if I have written something inside and I want to create a new file with cat. Can I do that? And I'll write what? I'll write hello there session as going well, right? So let's see what is inside new file. So it created a file with the name new file, and what is written inside that? Hello there, session is going well. So that is what, that is also your cat command, that what cat command will be, right? Okay. Now what else we can do, guys? It can we saw that it can append the contents. Now what it will do, if I have, let's say, let me create this file, let me work with this, right? Now we have these files, right? So in this, what I am doing, I am writing everything in a line. Hello, how are you, right? So in the line, I'll save it, by enter, and the opposite of cat I will write. So opposite of cat is tag, and tag, then I will write the file name cybersec2.txt. I'll press enter. Now as you can see, it's in the opposite order, right? So if you want to print something in the opposite order, that is your tag, right? Now if I write cat -e and cybersec2.txt, it will highlight the end of every line. So your line is ending over here, so there is a dollar sign. So highlighting the end of every file it is showing you, right? Okay, great. Now next thing that we have is cal. So if I want to see the calendar, I will use the cal command, right? So it showed me September 2021's calendar. This is cal command, right? Now if I write exit, the shell is exited. If I will write su again, it will ask for password, and I'll write the password, press enter, and it is the password is this, enter, and inside it again, right? Okay, great. So everyone clear with this bit? Clear till here? Basic functions of Linux. Okay. Now if I want to create a new folder, so how will I create a new folder? I will create it like this: mkdir cybersec essentials, right? I want to create this folder. Mkdir stands for make directory, right? Now, what I'll do, I'll press enter and do this. So as you can see, here is your CyberSec Essentials folder, right? Now your folder is created. What I'll do, I want to remove this folder, right? So RM will not help, right? So what I'll do, I'll write RM and CyberSec Essentials, right? And if I'll press enter, so it says RM cannot remove CyberSec Essentials. It is a delete, right? So RM is only used for removing files. Clear? Now if I write RMDIR and then I write CyberSec Essentials. So if I press enter and do ls, as you can see, CyberSec Essentials is removed, right? Now RM-RF is also an option, right? Yeah. Now what we have is, let's create another folder, make the directory now with the name Essentials, and inside I will go inside this folder Essentials. Now if I will go inside this folder Essentials, so what it will give me, let's create a file over here. So nano new2.txt, right? I'll press enter. I will write anything over here. I'll save it and I'll go back to one folder back, right? Now I want to delete this directory that I have created with the name Essentials. So what I'll write, if I write RMDIR and Essentials, right? So fail to remove Essentials. It is, this directory is not empty. So for that, what I have to do? So for that, I will write RM space -R and then I will write Essentials. So when we use -R, guys, why I didn't use uh, RF -RF when I was removing the directory, why I used RMDIR, because if you want to delete something when there are things inside that folder, so that is your -R. There you will use -R. R means recursively. So it will delete the directory and the things that are there inside your directory recursively, right? So R is for recursiveness, right? So that's how you delete, right? Now if I want to create a file with the name dash, so the name of my file is dash. If I will, if I want to remove it, how will I remove it, guys? RM-R and dash. So it will remove that dash file, right? So we have some files with the name dash. If you want to create a file with the name dash, you can create these and you can remove these, right? Okay. Now, if I want to see, I'm writing something cat, and I have written cat asterisk dot txt. So what I did, all the files with the extension .txt are opened over here, right? So all the files are here and those are open. So if you want to open files with particular extension and you want to open all those files, that is your cat command will help over there, right? Clear everyone? Any doubts? Any queries? Okay, great. Now password. So what I can do is I can use this command password. So it will ask for the new password. I can write the new password. It says retype. I have done this. Now password updated successfully. If you want to change the password, you can do that as well. Great. Right. Uh, Miss Sheetal, you will get the recorded sessions on YouTube. So our page name is InfosecTrain. There you can every day your lectures will be uploaded, right?
Okay, thank you.
Great. Okay. Now, next thing that we have is we will discuss about. We discussed about all these things. Now PWD, right? So what PWD stands for? Present working directory. The directory you are working in right now, right? And if you want to find out what type of user you are, so you will write who am I, and it will give you the output that you are the root user. Clear everyone? Okay. Next thing that we have is this ln. So how you will create any of the link, right? Any what is ln? As we saw in the above output when we did ls space hyphen la, that there are some files which are starting with L, and these are what type of files? These are the type of files with the shortcuts, right? So what I want to create a shortcut of that some file as well, right? So how will I do that? Can anyone tell me? So what I can do, let's say I want to create a link for videos somewhere in my file system. So what I'll write ln, right? And let's say we want to do it for your cybersec.txt that we have created. So your cybersec.txt, the file name, and where I want to save it. So /o. I'll press enter and there will be so we have this and a copy of this will be inside your home as well. So if I do cd and do ls over here, so as you can see cybersec.txt is over here as well. Now if I do ls space hyphen la over here, so as you can see cybersec.txt, it is there, right? So if you want to create something, if you want to do something, you can do that, right? Now what I'll do cd slash, right? right? So I'm inside it again. Now if I do ls again, and if I want to copy any file, so what command I will use for copying? We have cc command, right? So if I want to copy our let's say cybersec2.txt and /home /issue/documents, right? So I'll do that, and if I go to documents, cd documents, press enter, do ls cybersecurity2.txt is here, right? So that is what, that is also thing, right? Now if you want to remove it, you can remove it, rm cybersec2.txt, it will be removed. I will go back, and I don't want to copy it, I want to move it. So what I'll write move command, and what I will do, I will write say your name of the file again, cybersecurity.txt again, and cybersecurity.txt I want to move it inside /home /a5hu and / of your documents, right? Now I'll press enter. Sorry, I'll press enter. It is moved. I will go inside it. First I will do ls over here and see if cybersec is over here. No, it's not. So I will go where I will go to documents and do ls cybersec.txt. Clear everyone? Now what if I want to change the name of this file cybersec.txt? Can anyone tell me the command for that? Can we change the file name in Linux? And if yes, is there any command or not? Then how will we change? Correct, Mr. John. So there is no particular rename command for it. So what I'll write, I want to change the name. So I'll use the move command, and cybersec.txt. I want to make it 123.txt. I'll press enter, do ls, and 123.txt is it, right? So that's how you can change the name, right? Clear everyone? Oh, great. So this is how you do the things, right? Now next thing, we discussed about the redirection inputs, that how you will redirect your input from one file to another. We use the cat command as well. Now we are left with the pipeline, right? So what is pipeline? So when you want to concatenate two commands, so that's where you will use the pipeline. So let's say I want to locate, okay, I want to do what? I want to do ls, I'll go back to my folder, right? And I'll do first ls -la, right? So as you can see, there are some files from September, May, June, July, right? So there will be two commands that you will be learning, and I will be writing those two commands in one command, right? So what I'll do, ls space hyphen l, right? Next, the pipeline. Then the next command that will be your grep. And in grep, what you have to write, I have to find out May, right? Now, let's talk about this command, right? Now, what we have is, guys, what I wrote, ls space hyphen la, then pipeline grep May, right? So what this pipeline does, these are the two different commands, ls hyphen la and grep, right? So what this pipeline is doing, this pipeline is combining these two commands. Now, in pipeline, what happens, guys? The output from this file, the output of this command. So that will be a very long output, right? Now, out of that output will be the input for the second command. And out of that output, it will grab only the files that are created in main, right? So that is the use of your pipeline. That output of first command will be the input for the second command, right? And grep is used for what? Grep is used for grabbing the stuff, right? So if I click on here, so as you can see, only the files that were created in May are here, right? So the output of ls-la was this, a very long output where all the files were there. But out of all these files, I have just picked up the files which were created in May, right? So these are the files. Clear, everyone? Any doubts? Okay. Now, if I want to see, we will have the head command, we will be having the tail command. We discussed about grep command, and we will be now discussing about head, tail, and W's, right? Okay. Now, what we have is, let's say, let's clear the Bootcamp. I do ls, right? And I want to see what is inside this nohub.out, right? So I can use the head command as well, right? So if I clicked on it, nohub.out, it showed me this thing. Now, if I want to see, let's say I have something dot information security dot txt, right? So I want to do what? I want to see what is inside it. So I will write tail infosec dot txt, right? I'll press enter and it will give me that. Now what happens, guys? We have what? We have very less things, right? Like I have only 3-4 lines written inside it. Now, when you have a lot of data, very long data, and out of that data, you have to see only the last 10 lines. So, tail command is what? It will show you only the last 10 lines of that file, right? Now, head command does what? The starting 10 lines it will be shown, right? So, that is the difference between head and tail command, right? Now, I want to locate some scripts, right? So I have these files and it will give me the command, right? So these are all the scripts. Now, these are what? These are some scripts that are used in used for scanning and running the scripts. So I cannot read all these scripts, right? And I cannot also count how much the number of scripts these are. So how many are these scripts? So I cannot count that. It will take too much of time. So what I'll do, I'll again use this command. I will use the pipeline with it, and I will write what? WC hyphen L. So WC stands for your word count. So count the number of words line by line, right? So it will give you the number of lines that are there, and it gave you 603. So that means your 603 files are there. Clear, everyone? Okay. Now we discussed about ls, we discussed about -r, we discussed about irm, cp, move, touch, make dir, right? For creating a new directory, make dir, touch for creating a new file. We also discussed about nano in that, right? Now after that we discussed about what? The move command, copy command, remove -r, and then list all function as well, right? So we discussed about them, right? Now what we have is, guys, we have the network troubleshooting commands, right? So what I have is first command, that is ipconfig. Now ipconfig will tell you the IP configurations, internet protocol configurations of your system. So ipconfig is a command that is used in Windows. So this is my command prompt. I have written ipconfig. It gave me Windows IP configuration. Now in that what we have, I have VirtualBox. So this is the IP for VirtualBox. Then wireless LAN adapter. It's not there. Wireless local area connection. It's not there. Right now my Ethernet adapter I have. So the for Ethernet adapter I have my IP this 192.168.0.116. Now after that I have VMware, so I have two adapters, network adapters added in VMware. So first is this and second is this, right? So it gives you the idea about that. Now guys, second command is your ping, right? Now ping command is, if I talk about ping, so ping finds out if your target is up and running or right. So I have written ping google.com. So I got reply from Google as well, right? So this is the thing, right? So this is what, this is your reply from Google. Now what can I say for that? That if I'm getting the reply, that means Google is up and running. It is working fine, right? So that is your ping command. Now, Mr. Rajat, your TTL. TTL stands for time to live. Now, time to live is what? How many number of hops your data will take. So how your data travels in a network, how your packet travels. This is one router, this is second router, this is third router, right? Now, your data will travel from first router to second, then second to third. So your neighbor's router, then your neighbor's router to again other neighbor's router, then it will pass the city and then it will reach the destination. That's how it reaches. Now TTL is what? TTL gives you the time to live, right? Now time to live tells you what? That how much time your packet has to live, right? So it gave you, let's say it gave you 128. So that means after 128 jumps, after 128 hops, the data will be dropped if it does not reaches the destination, right? So that is the thing about your TTL. Next thing, you can also find out about the operating system that we are using for TTL. So if we are the target is using Windows, so 128 TTL will be showing, right? If the target is using Linux, so 64 will be the TTL, so that will be for Linux. And if the target is using, let's say, Cisco iOS, right? So we have Cisco devices, so Cisco iOS we have, so it will be showing the TTL 255. Now in here it showed the TTL 119. So basically in this, the that your particular operating system is Windows, right? And you will say that I have said that 128 is for Windows. Yes, 128 is for Windows, but 119, why it was 119 only? It was 119 because after 7 hops your Google was there. So it was only 7 hops away from you. That's why from 128 it subtracted 7, and then it gave you 190. Right? So that is the theory about your teeth. Right? Now next thing we have is Traceroute or Tracer. Right? So if you will write it in the Linux, so that is your trace route, right? Right? And if you will write it in your command prompt, right? So your command prompt will be, you will be writing tracer, right? And if I'll write tracer google.com and press enter, so it will be giving me the hops. So we'll see what hops it will be given, right? So trace route is used for what? For tracing the route where my data is traveling, where my data is hopping. What is the first point, then second point, then third point, and how it is reaching to its destination, right? So as you can see, it is giving you the IP address, different IP addresses. So my data is traveling there, right? Okay. Right? So that's how your data is reached the destination in 7 hops only. So what I said, that's why it was showing you TTL 119 because your data, your destination is only 7 hops away from you. So that's why it is showing 119, right? Okay. Now, if you will hit the firewall, right? If you will hit the firewall, what will happen, guys? If you will hit the firewall, this is something which you will get as the output. So I am working inside VMware, and there is Kali Linux inside. So that's why it is showing me these stars. And these stars, whenever you find these stars, that means you are hitting a firewall. So where there will be firewalls, right? So what will happen? Your firewalls will be blocking the path. It will not be showing the path, right? Oh. Yeah, Mr. Budding, I know it's 9, but your data is 7 hops away. That's the theory about 119. So if you will write, even if you don't believe me, write TTL in Google, TTL 119, you will find that out, right? Right? So your data is some, right? It's different for everyone. Now, if I'm sitting over here, it's 7 hops away from me. Now, if you are sitting somewhere else, it can happen. It will be 9 hops away or 11 hops away from you. So it will be subtracting that, right? Okay. So this is the thing. Now, next thing we have is Netstat, right? So Netstat gives you the network statistics, your network statistics. So if I write Netstat over here, so it will give you all the statistics when your data, what are the active connection, where when it was started, what it is it established, or as you can see over here, it shows time wait, right? So that is the thing about your Netstat. It's still finding out what connection do I have. So let it complete, right? So all the network statistics where I connected, what I did, your local address, what port. So these all are your port numbers, right? What port numbers I have used. So that is the thing. Clear everyone? Mr. Sheetal. Yeah, sure. So when I wrote Tracer and it is showing me 1 ms, 12 ms, that thing. So it tells you how much time it take, how much time it took to hop to the destination and get back, right? So this is hop and back displayed. So as you can see, there is an arrow. So this is for back. So the first, the hop, the jump, and then back. It is displayed in milliseconds. So this is ms is milliseconds. How many milliseconds it took? So by default, this your tracer will send 3 packets to each hop. So the output will give you 3 things, right? So that's why your output is listing you 3 things. So round trip time. So that is what also it is called the latency as well, right? Round trip and time 3 times. That's why it is, right? Okay. So it gave me the statistics of my network where I was connected and when I was connected, if the connection was established or not, right? Now, next thing that I have is path ping. What is path ping? As you can see, I've written path ping. It gave me a list what I can do with it, right? Now, path ping is what, guys? Path ping gives you, it is a combination of traceroute and ping, right? So that is your pathway. So whatever option you want to use, -G, you want to give the host list, -H, maximum host, -I, address, -N, do not resolve addresses to the host names, -P, period, hyphen q number of queries, hyphen w timeout, hyphen 4, hyphen 6. Right? So that's how you can use path ping. Right? Now, what we have in Linux for that? So if we go for Linux, so instead of path ping, we have trace path, right? So traceroute and ping, that is trace path for that, right? So that is about your path. Now R, can anyone tell me what is R? ARP. So R stands for your address resolution protocol, right? Now your address resolution protocol, if I talk about, so it maps your IP address to your MAC addresses, right? So let me give you a very small example that this is one PC and this is the second PC, right? And these both are connected in the same network, right? And this PC has the IP address of 192.168.12.1 and it is 12.10, right? So what will happen if this PC wants to send data in OSI model? We discussed that for sending data you need two types of addresses, MAC address and IP address. MAC address is your physical address, right? Now MAC address is your physical address, IP address is your logical address. For sending the data we need both. So they are connected in the same network. It knows the IP address of the destination, but it does not know the MAC address. So what it will do, it will send a request and that request is known as ARP request, right? So in that ARP request, let's say he is sending a letter, right? So in that letter, this letter is known as ARP request and that letter will be broadcasted in the network, even if there are more devices in the network, right? Let's say this is one more device with 12.12 as the IP address. So this data will be, this message will be transmitted to all the devices that are present. And what is written inside that? It is written that anyone who is having the IP address of 192.168.12.10, please reply me with your MAC address, right? Now what will happen when PC, let's say this is 3, this is 2, this is 1, when PC3 will read that data, read that message, it will say that this is not meant for me, right? Then after that what it will be doing, it will be dropping the data. Now after when your dot 2, your second PC will be getting the data. So your second PC will be doing what? Second PC will be checking that if that data is for me or not. Now, if that it matches, the IP addresses match. Now, what it will say? It will say that yes, it is my IP. Now, I will reply back. So, PC2 will reply back. That is called your R reply, right? So, that's how you get the MAC address of the PC that you want to send the data. Now, when you get the MAC address, it will be saved in a table that is known as ARP table, right? So, if you want to see the ARP table, you just have to write ARP space hyphen A, and this will help you in finding if you are connected to a network. So, it will help you in finding that if anyone else has copied your MAC address or not, right? So there can be times if someone is copying your MAC address, so that type of attack is known as MAC spoofing. So it helps in that scenario, right? So as you can see, IP addresses are mapped with the MAC addresses, right? So these are this is the R table. This is something which we call R table, right? Now next thing we have is IP/display DNS, right? So DNS is what, guys? DNS stands for domain name system, right? So what it does, it maps your IP to the domain name, right? So why it is there? Because we cannot remember the IP for every website we are using, so that's why domain name system is there. We can remember google.com, but we cannot remember the IP address for it, right? And if we are able to remember it, but there are lots of websites that we visit every day, so that's why it's not there, right? We cannot use that, right? So what I'll do for what seeing the local DNS table, local DNS cache, IP slash display DNS. Okay. So why don't you guys try this IP slash display DNS? Yeah, it's IP config slash display DNS. Yeah, so the command is ipconfig slash display DNS, right? Now it will be showing you all the records that you have that are saved in your local cache, right? So that is the thing about your IP slash display DNS, IP config slash display DNS, right? Now this is the thing, right? So guys, these were some commands that will help you in the troubleshooting of the network if you want to see anything, right? So that is the thing that it will help, right? Okay. Now these are the things that we have. So this was about the basic idea of Linux. By this you will be able to understand about the further topics from tomorrow that we will be learning that about security. So in those topics you will be able to find out all the things and understand all the things. Only these basics are needed for understanding, right? So this was from my side, guys. If you want to ask any questions, you can put your questions in the chat. And if you want regular updates, you can follow us on Telegram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Right? So if you guys want the certificate feedback form, I will be providing you that as well. So let me paste the feedback form as well over here. So if you guys have any questions, you can ask, you can put your questions in the chat. And from tomorrow onwards, we will be starting with the security part, right? Yeah, at the end, we will be discussing about that, Mr. Marvin.